Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. She's the host of the program. I'm Richard Randall. I help ask some of the questions. This is a weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate, and it does it with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And that's not just the name, that is Barb Schlinker. Now, Barb, many people have to help their parents move at some point in their lives. Sometimes it's to move to a smaller home. Other times it could be to move into an easier home to maintain or to a care facility. What can you tell us about how people can help their parents sell their current home?
Well, not every change in life happens expectedly. Some people pass away unexpectedly. Some people just decide, hey, I'm done taking care of this big house. I don't want to clean it anymore. Or they're worried about their parents falling down and breaking something and they're not going to be there. So it takes a while for most parents to want to give up their house.
Yeah.
I would say that most of the time they don't go voluntarily, but usually they'll understand, okay, if they're starting to fall down and have hip problems and they have stairs, it could be a real challenge for them, especially if they're living by themselves. So it's a process. I've seen a lot of people have trouble with this whole scenario. And I've actually helped thousands of home sellers sell their homes. And many of those clients have been people just like this, including myself. My own parents passed away, and well, my dad in 2011, my mom just 5 months later. And that whole process was completely eye-opening to me. And at that point, I was 15, 20 years in the business, and I knew very little about having to deal with estates and all these little particulars that you have to think of, hopefully in advance. So I'd say the number one step to doing this is to kind of make sure you're working with a good real estate agent that's actually done it before. The natural tendency is to go back to the last real estate agent they have used before without really checking their credentials to see if they've had these kind of experiences. And it is a different type of sale. There's a lot of things that you have to be super careful of, especially like I met with some folks just a few weeks ago where the dad owns the home. He's in a care facility. He really can't get out. He's not able to take care of his affairs at this point. And so it's a very stressful time for everyone, but with a little bit of planning, you can make it go quite well. It's best if they have a will. It's even better if they're in a trust. A trust is a really clean way to deal with a piece of real estate. But if you're not doing that, it's okay. The problem is if somebody passes away and then maybe the heirs or a family member has to deal with selling their assets, you have to hire an attorney to be assigned the executor of the estate. Now, this can take some time. It can take up to 3 to 4 weeks. You have to have the documentation in place. I've seen people have trouble with not even getting access to their husband's paychecks and all that kind of stuff. It really is a big project. And if you plan it in advance, it's a lot easier. First of all, if your family member has passed away, in my opinion, you want to minimize the time that the home is vacant. And if you can't do that, put some alarms in place, get control of the utilities as soon as possible. Let me tell you a story. And Richard, this is a scary story. So I got called last year by somebody that the owner had passed away. He didn't have any family in town, and his family was in another state. So I had met with him before. I had his calendar in the house, so they just called me, my calendar that I send out every year. So they called me, I met with them, and they hired me to handle the sale. The problem was you really can't go on the market until they've been assigned the executor. In other words, you can't accept offers. Technically, they don't have the authority to sell the house until they're assigned the executor. So that would be something that I would put in place if your family member is maybe in hospice or soon to pass away. It's a really good time to get all those things in place if possible. if the house does go vacant, make sure you have something, Simply Safe system might be $500. It doesn't cost very much. It doesn't require a whole lot, but at least you have alarms in place. This particular property got broken into by these drug guys. We called the police to get them out. The police never came because to them, it's a civil matter, or they might have come, but it might have been weeks later. It just wasn't their priority, right? So, we went over to the house because, and the guy said, "Oh, well, I'm related to the family." I'm like, "No, you're not." And so they kind of scattered like rats. And I said, "Don't you come back," because I called the police. And yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. Sure enough, a week or two later, they broke in again. And I'm like, okay, I'm not the police. I'm not going to, my husband was really unhappy with me even confronting them face to face. But the real issue was the family had the utilities on in the name of the people that were trying to get their executorship, right? So these guys moved in, they're all snug as a bug, they've got utilities, they're taking showers, they're all comfortable, it's all good, until they decided to steal the copper pipes.
Oh my
So
goodness.
they cut the copper pipe. I get a call from the utility company saying, "Hey, the water usage is really, really high." So put this in perspective. It's a manufactured home, one of the few in this neighborhood that has a 6-foot high crawl space underneath. The water was leaking so bad it came up out from underneath the crawl space, underneath the siding. That's how much water was down there.
Deeper than 6 feet.
6 feet, the whole length of the house, full of
What
water,
a nightmare.
because those dummies cut the copper pipe to sell it for drugs, and then they don't have plumbing anymore. So what does the utility company do? They went out there and turned it off temporarily, but they wouldn't lock them out because there were people in the house. It didn't matter if they had authority to be there. So I had to reach out to the family to go, "Please, please, please cut off the utilities, because they won't let me do it. I'm just the dummy real estate agent." But imagine that. You've got all this damage going on in your house. They're doing drugs in there. God knows how much contamination is going on if they're using meth. I put eyes on the needles that they were using. It is just too risky to have a vacant house. So if you can avoid it as much as possible, or at least put an alarm system in place, do so. That's partly why we do our staging process with our home sales. We don't want it to look like a vacant house. Now, unfortunately, the MLS has a requirement that if you have a staged room, you have to have a picture of it empty, which is ridiculous. But I don't think it's a safe thing to do, but they force us to do that with our current MLS. But anyway, here's some steps to deal with this. First of all, most people are faced with having to dispose of a lot of personal property that the family member either left behind or doesn't need. And so it can be extremely overwhelming. So just take it step by step and room by room. First of all, figure out what you want to keep. Okay. Figure out what you want to give to family. What my mom did after my dad passed away, I have 4 brothers. She told them, "Come on down, get what you want." And so there weren't any fights really. We joked around about stuff, but we all got what we wanted. And then she had an estate sale and got rid of everything. Donate whatever you don't want, dispose whatever is disposable. Just so you know, make sure you keep an eye on things like family heirlooms. Make sure you keep things like if they had a mortgage and any refinance paperwork, because what we're finding right now when we're doing our title searches is that somebody might have refinanced a mortgage, but the former mortgage never got released off the property. So now there are 2, even though one of them's paid off. And it's really hard to chase that information down. So if you come across it, don't throw that away. Just in case you need it. Take care of, make sure you protect, take your family heirlooms. Furniture is one of those things, believe it or not, I hear from all the time. Do they want to buy my this? Do they want to buy that? I paid $10,000 for that, Ethan Allen dining room set. Okay, but it's not worth $10,000 now. It might be worth a few $100s if you can get rid of it. I have seen people that had really, really expensive furniture. They weren't able to take care of it. Nobody wanted it, which is insane. But one way to start, if you think it's something valuable that people want, is get one of your younger family members to try to sell it on Facebook Marketplace. Now, I don't like Zuckerberg and I don't like Facebook, but that is a really good place to sell things. And usually they'll just come and pick it up. And then try to get as much information as possible about the home. We include a certified pre-owned home program. So we actually pre-inspect everything. We pre-check the title, and then find out about improvements. And then I just want to give you a couple of stories real quick. So I had one seller, really nice gentleman. His mom fell down once and he didn't want to go through that again. She's in a 4-level home, really nice home, but not updated. So he called me to ask me, what should they do? And I said, don't remodel. You're not going to get the money out of it. Price it right and just redo flooring. So that's what we did. And we put it on the market. We got multiple offers and it sold at a price as if it was remodeled because we created demand. I do that time and time again. I've done it on different houses as well. You want to also talk to different moving companies. So there are moving companies that if they're moving to a senior care, they'll come out, you just point at what you want to take with you. They will pack it up and take it to your new place and unpack it for a very reasonable price. So those things are out there. And we've got some great recommendations for moving companies. We've got our little moving vans that are just kind of a small kind of thing that you could use. Our little van will carry 2.5 rooms. So we let our clients use it for free. Plus, you can always get some young backs to help you. My name is Barb Schlinker with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And we're talking about how to help your family when they have to sell a home, either because they're going to a senior facility or they've passed away. It's a big project. And next up, we are going to be talking briefly about some legal strategies that you got to watch out for. And if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She is your voice, and she is the person who has a relationship with you and looks out for you. And in this case, your parents as well. If you're interested in selling or buying, call Barb at 719-301-3900. And we're talking, Barb, about selling a home when the home sellers are facing a family loss or a member needs to go into independent care or a different type of home. What are some of the other things that home sellers really need to prepare for when they have a situation like this? And it's almost inevitable that sooner or later, one of us will.
Well, first of all, decide on your selling strategy. So you need a good real estate agent to help you with that. We actually have 64 high net worth cash buyers that can just do the easy button thing. Typically they're coming in lower than market value, but they just did a study and 65% of homeowners would actually consider selling to these high net worth cash buyers just to avoid the hassle. And I get that completely. And then the other thing you want to do as far as the estate is concerned is, first of all, you don't have your family member put the asset in your name yet, because when you inherit a property, you inherit it at its value when you inherited it, not when they bought it. But if they put you in title, then you could be facing some tax consequences. So just make sure you do it the right way and it'll be fine. Don't worry too much about it. But as far as checking accounts are concerned, if they are not very good with finances and they're letting you handle their finances, it's a good idea to get on their checking account just so you can help them with expenses and just get things done quickly if you guys trust each other. And as far as the loan, it does not matter who is on the loan. As long as you have who the lender is, the title company is going to order the payoff. You don't have to refinance it. And please, please, please maintain insurance on the house. Because I'm going to tell you real quick my story. My parents passed away. My mom passed away in March of 2012, and we were getting the house ready for sale. We had it under contract, and the day before it was supposed to sell, it burnt to the ground in the Waldo Canyon fire. And had we not had that insurance policy, we would have gotten zero for the whole thing. So at least we were able to sell the land and get a little bit of money out of it. But just be careful on those things. You don't want to let those things lapse. So if you are thinking of making a move and you'd like some help with that kind of situation, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
Remember, you want an agent who has the knowledge and the experience, sometimes personal, as you were just saying, Barb, with solutions to your home sale, regardless of your situation. Barb's team can get you ready to order your report for top tips for downsizing. Go ahead and visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Click on the free reports that'll be up in the upper right-hand corner, or just give her a call at 719-301-3900. A short break. When we come back, we'll be talking about how to sell a home in a competitive market. Stay tuned for that.